got to do something. So can you drop in the chat? Can you drop in the chat where you're chiming in from today? So Andrew and I'd love to know where you're coming in from today. So drop a city, state in the chat. And oh my goodness, it is the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Cassidy himself. Super excited to have Jason here. If there is anyone who is a master at this game, it is Jason Cassidy. We have Craig Veroni all the way from Vancouver, BC in the house. Chattanooga in the house. This is super fun. Andrew, look at these names flying out, man.
The numbers are going up, buddy.
This is so good. Like we're gonna cap out on the Zoom very quickly. Thank you all for being on with us. We have a tactical one plan for you today, and I'm just so excited because Andrew and I have been thinking about doing this for years now, and we get a chance to actually do this live on the BAM platform to give to the industry. So super grateful for everybody. We're gonna be on time because if Andrew and I had any kind of choice in doing this would be multiple days, and we still wouldn't get through everything that we want to go through. So we're going to compress all of this in a tactical way to give you something profitable to work on in the next 90 minutes. So this is going to be super tactical. So as you're coming on, say hi, say hello. Super excited to be with all of you. My super thanks to Eric Simon, Byron Lazine, and the BAM platform for having us on today. So as you're coming on, say hi, say hello. We've got 30 seconds, and we're going to get started with you. So Susan Standiford, great to see you. Welcome. Excited to see you all. Thank you for being on with us. We got folks from Naples, Florida in the house. Hello, Truth. Great to see you. Alicia Adams, all the way from Boca. Great to see you guys. Awesome. Thank you for being on. This is super cool. Hey, if you you are in the $1 billion listing framework process with my good friend Andrew Undem, who is the man, the myth, the legend, and we're gonna get started right now. Andrew, we're right on time, so why don't we actually get started if it's good, and I'll set the stage for everybody.
Let it rip.
So here's what we're going to do. Andrew and I talked about this process. So this is going to be very specific on how we actually do this. And if you are a high D in the chat, can you put a D in the chat for me? If you're a high D, put a D in the chat for me. Because it'd be weird if you're not. Thank you. It's going to fly, right? So I know you guys are high D. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a few tactical things. Oops, sorry. We're going to give you a few tactical things. Oh, what's wrong with my iPad? That's weird. There we go. We're going to give you a few tactical things up front to start. And then Andrew and I, what the heck's wrong with my iPad? Sorry. Try it again. Cool. We're going to give you a few tactical things up front to start. And then we're going to do some active Q&A at the end. So this is going to be very tactical on ideas that you can use right now. And then Andrew and I are going to do either Q&A or objection handling or what have you at the end. So call this kind of 10 minutes each. It's really strange with my pen. I'll try it again. Oh, there we go. It's my pen. And then in this portion, this is where you're going to get what I call the UM, which is the Undem magic. All right. This is what you're going to get. This is the Undem magic. And Andrew and I are going to live role play for you exactly how to say, how to present, the skills that you use. And Andrew actually did it this morning in a listing appointment. So this is going to be live on how we're going to frame, show, and prove to you what you say in a listing point. Nothing like this has ever been done in the history of real estate before, because we're going to take what is actually happening in the living room and give to you live, right? So if all of this sounds good, give me a G in the chat for good. Give me a G in the chat if all of this kind of sounds good overall. Cool. All of this sounds good. Fantastic. So one of the big rules for today is that we are going to two big rules. Rule number one is that you will be kind, and Andrew and I will watch the chat, and if you see something, we'll pull it out and support you with it. Of course, we are here in service of you. And rule number one is Andrew and I have nothing to sell you today. We're here, and with a big lot of graciousness to the BAM platform for supporting us with this. And the second thing is we're going to use the chat a lot. So if you see something that you like, if you see something that you want us to go on, just say that in the chat. That way we know that's a good thing. Now, the cool part for us here is that we would really love if you could, we would really love if you could talk to us. If you see something that you like, I want you to say, hey, I want you to like tag it or take a picture of us and tag us on social, because for one very specific thing. And let me tell you why. When you tag Andrew and me on a picture, that just means that we are now in your feeds and we'll see more of your stuff. So you don't need to follow or anything, but just tag us in a photo at some point if you liked something, and then that'll give us a chance to be more connected to you overall. All right. Oops. So let me get my slide up and running here. Staring. Oh, okay, cool. All right. So here we go. Let's fly. Andrew, I'm going to jump right in. So this is the $1 billion listing secrets opportunity that we're going to kind of share with you overall. And here's the video that I want to frame this with. The video that I want to frame this with is this one from Warren Buffett. I'm going to play it for you, and this will frame our entire kind of session for us.
Henry Ford, as you may know, failed twice before he started the Ford Motor Company in 1903. I mean, the test isn't whether you get the greatest business idea in the world the first time out. The test is whether you keep learning as you go along what your strengths are and what you can do for your customers, what you can bring especially to the party. And to do that, you need a genuine desire day in, day out to delight the customer. I've never seen a business, and I've seen a lot of businesses, but I've never seen one that delights the customer that doesn't succeed. I mean, what you want is that customer the next day, what goes through their mind. You know, it's the place where they've had a great experience.
It's the place where they had a great experience. And I will tell you, and Andrew will tell you this, the great experience comes from your skill. Your skill delivers a great experience, not you saying you're great at marketing. It is your skill that delivers a great experience. And I will tell you right now, I'm gonna create this thesis for us. There's never been a more important time in the history of the real estate business to be a great listing agent. There's never been a more important time in the history of real estate to be a great listing agent. Let me tell you why. Here's a post that you see. Hey, anyone have a listing presentation that they could share with me so I can create mine? So people just think you can get Tiger Woods' golf clubs and then play like Tiger Woods. That's crazy. Or, hey, what is one thing not to be missed in putting a listing presentation together? This is an anonymous member essentially trying to say, I don't know what I'm trying to do. Or this is hey, I need a listing presentation by Thursday. They don't even have one right now, right? Which is what is crazy. And by the way, this is a agent that, like, an agent says this, selling real estate is not that hard and realtors are not valuable anymore. Like, there's never been a more important time to be a great listing agent. I saw this during the whole NAR thing, which I thought was hilarious. We want to share to you. It says, oh, with the NAR ruling, am I correct in saying that even though sellers agree to pay a 6% commission, I can't share that with my buyer's agent? How can they tell me how to disperse my commission? That's a whole new can of worms. And 20 minutes later, she posts this. She says, instead of figuring out all this NAR crap, I'm going to start taking applications for a sugar daddy. Like, this is this is how the agents are. This is your competition. This is why there's never been a more important time to be a great listing agent. And so I think about this a lot, and which is, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. So I want to play this for you, which I think you will love. There's never been a more important time in the history of the real estate business to be a great real estate agent. And I want to introduce you to my friend, Andrew Undem. So for those of you who don't know Andrew, Andrew runs the Sure Sales Group in Baltimore, Maryland. He's one of the most consummate, thoughtful, skilled real estate professionals in the game right now. Andrew has been started as an agent. He's done leases. He's done sales. He's grown a team. He started building media even before media was a thing. He's an investor. He runs a property management company, and he's in the game right now. He does the sales meetings right now. He's in the appointment. He's in the appointment to this morning, and he had live notes from this morning that he can share with you. So I'm just super grateful to share the stage and spend this time sharing with you with my good friend, Mr. Andrew Undem. Andrew.
Hey, Sharran, thanks for taking it away. It's just a masterclass on how to kick off a presentation. And I'm so excited to do this because I want to watch it too. Like, I'm like one of the people in the chat. Like, I've been infatuated with this concept. I believe it was since 2016. I saw Sharran on a stage and he went over this presentation, and I immediately said, oh my gosh, this is a guy I need to learn more from. And just like Warren Buffett said in that intro, you never stop trying to get a little bit better and a little bit tweaking on how you're going to present to a seller. Everybody knows sellers are important. And if you can become the type of person who's so confident and has conviction when you do meet a seller, if you think there'd be crazy not to list it with me, and you really believe they're better off going with you, and you can show them that, and it's real, and you believe it's real, not only will you get all the listings, but you will do the behaviors to go out and get more sellers. Okay, so this is a key skill that I just felt like has been missing, because everyone wants to talk about marketing. I need to do more reels. I need to do more of this. Well, what you really need to do is realize you are the presentation, you are the product, and you need to invest in you. And that's what we're going to do today. And Sharran, to be fair to the audience, we're going to go over a lot of stuff, and it sounds fancy, it sounds complex, and people say, oh my gosh, well, you could do that. I can't do that. You can do it, but you have to work on it. So you're not going to become the best listing agent presenter today. But what you will get is a lot of things to work on and make it your own. Because guess what? I don't try to be Sharran. I can't be Sharran. I can just be me and you can just be you. But there's going to be things that I know you're going to take from this and you're going to say it this afternoon and it's going to work and you'll be on the path to doing it your way.
That's so good. Andrew, that really frames up the next slide for me. And I'll please stay on the screen because I want to bring this up, which is this big idea of this is all in the trenches, and Andrew knows this. And the idea here is that I went on 248 listing appointments in 22 different markets over 23 months. And I want to like break this down for you. And I think this will benefit everybody. And this is the proof, right? In the first 18 months, I went on 161 appointments and I won 152 out of 161. That's a 94.5% conversion rate. And then I was like, wait a minute. In the next 15 months, I went on 87 appointments. I won all 87, 100% close rate. We roughly took $1 billion in listings taken in under 23 months. And it's an important thing to like think about when you do that. And what we're going to show you today is that conversion, which is what took us from 94.5% to 100%. What is that delta, right? That is the most important thing here. And in this process, I've shared this with Andrew, every single appointment that I've went on, right? When you talk about learning, I sat in my car after the appointment, and Andrew knows this. I wrote down every single question every single seller ever asked us. So I have every single question every single seller has ever asked us during every appointment that I went on, right? And so all these appointments that I went on, they were all cold. Every single appointment was cold, meaning I went on as a partner with another agent in the appointment because I was the principal, the leader of the company. So I went on with another agent in the appointment. And the key here is I wrote down every single question every single seller asked us. So what you're seeing on the left is all the appointments that I went on. And what you're seeing on the right is every single question every single seller asked us. And I will tell you, at the end of the day, there is a pattern to this process. There's a pattern. And that's the pattern I want to share. And Andrew loves this. And I will tell you, this will set the frame for what we're going to talk about. There are 10 big themes that you should want to cover in the appointment in some way. These themes, Andrew will tell you, are not for you to memorize, they're for you to know. So let me tell you what these 10 themes are, and I will read. And I will read them. I will read them out for you. You don't have to. We'll give you the slides and all of that, but let me actually give you these 10 themes, right? So the first, what qualifies you to sell my house? Second, why does it feel so stressful? Third, do you have a buyer for my house? Fourth, what are you actually going to do? Fifth, does marketing even matter now that we have Zillow? Sixth, by the way, these are what the clients are thinking. Sixth, it all looks the same. Why is your stuff any better? Seventh, why does everyone claim to be the best? 8, what can I really sell my house for? 9, why does everyone look at comps differently? And number 10, you talk about negotiating. I don't even know what you're negotiating. And the key part here is understanding this. It talks about capability, complexity, the result, the access, the proof, the process, the personalization, the market, the pricing, the black box. I took myself out of the screen just so you can see the full thing. Andrew, before we kind of like break this down, anything you want to do to frame this for the audience before we go live into this?
Well, this is going to be the tactical piece. If your presentation, if you call it, needs to be collaborative, for one, with the seller. But if you can find a way to articulate how you're going to answer these questions and draw it out by hand, doesn't mean you can't have a book or a presentation. I know my friends at Real have this. Well, guess what? I have it too. We're going to dive into this. There's a lot of ways you can go through this concept, but the key is, can you answer those questions in an elegant way where your train of thought never stops and you're showing how you're going to solve these problems on a timeline? And we're going to get to it live.
Yeah.
I draw it out like this. I do it the same way every time. You
So
can do
good.
it on the back of a tax record. You can do it on a napkin. You could do it without pen and paper. It's better with pen and paper, but it's just to get your mind right, answer those questions. But one thing I do want to add, Sharran, before we dive into it is, this is the presentation step. A lot of the stuff we're going to go through is, okay, now we're sitting back at the kitchen table, but there's some elements that you have to cover before that. Should we jump into that, Sharran?
That's exactly right. So thank you. So I promised, Andrew and I promised some tactical stuff for you high Ds before we get into the live role play on this. Some of the most important thing that you can do is to be the choice before you get there. And we call this to win before you arrive. And I want to give you 5 really tactical things on winning before you arrive. By the way, it doesn't really matter if this is small font or not. We'll get you the slides, but take a screenshot if you would like in this process. But we just want to get you the idea here so that you're able to execute on it at a high level. So let me share with you what we call winning before you arrive. All right. The first thing of winning before you arrive, and you've probably seen me talk about this, this is the easiest thing that all of you can execute on. This is called the magic whiteboard. So this is super simple. imagine this. Imagine you just drew this magic whiteboard, which was a whiteboard. This actually has a live, it's July, Andrew, it has July 2018 on it. It's actually a live date. And there's an address in there. And by the way, I just write the address in there. And then if I have a new address, I erase that and just write the new address in there and take a screenshot. And I send it to the client and I say, hey, we're actively working. I just texted the client saying we're actively working on your home. That's all I do in this process, right? And now the crazy part is, if it's not about how small it is to read, it's you just want to know the theory behind this, but the jankier, the better. You don't want this fancy, because here's my friend Kat Sellis. Kat literally took this on the back of a Post-it, a flip chart in a hotel room, and that's how she actually did this. It shows that they've already hired you for the process that you're doing. This is my friend Alex Yu in Orange County, California. He took a piece of paper, put it on the ground, took a picture, and sent it. And the client's like, oh my gosh, I love this. Thank you. This feels so great. Small things like this before you get to the appointment are really, really tactical. Super easy to do this, and you win with this. So this is idea number one. Here's idea number two, Andrew. I want to read this out for you. A lot of times what people end up doing is they, when we get a listing, Andrew, they then want to say, hey, everybody, I got this listing. But instead, most of us have more appointments. So I want you not to sell the listing. I want you to sell your appointment. So if I had an appointment with Andrew in 5 days, what I would do is I would write an email to my database and say, hey, I'm meeting with a client next Thursday about putting their home up for sale. Here are the specs about the home. Hey, if you are interested, just reply and I'll get you all the details. What this does is every time you have an appointment, you're able to sell the appointment. Now imagine this. Now when I get to the appointment with Andrew, I actually take my phone and show it to Andrew. Andrew, I didn't know what the response was going to be. We didn't even start the marketing process. So I just wanted to test the market. So I sent out this email, very generic. I didn't mention your house. I didn't mention the address. And I already have 5 people that responded that are interested in this. Man, I'm really excited to put a great plan together to bring your home to market. Now what you've done is you've proved that they've already hired you, right? Again, win before you arrive. That's idea number 2. Andrew, I'm just going to do 3 more really quick, and then we can get into our life play, role play. So you're not going to be able to see this. This is the agenda email that I like to send. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of this, take a screenshot of this. I'm going to read this out very quickly. And I've shared this with Andrew. What I like to do is I like to send a agenda email on the morning of the appointment, because on the morning of the appointment, the agent freaks out. The client freaks out. They don't know what to expect. They're like, is this going to be good? So if you send an email like this, let me read this for you because it's important. And you may think like, man, I can't believe you're telling me what to send an agenda email. Well, I've experimented with this 248 times. So I finally gotten this to a point where it works. So highly recommend that you read. So let me read through this. The yellow parts are important. So subject line is meeting game plan. The subject line is not listing appointment. The subject line is not listing presentation. No one knows what a listing presentation is, right? So you can say, hey, Andrew, hey, Sharran, I'm looking forward to seeing you today and putting together a strategy for the sale of your home. As part of our process, a part of our client process, which means that we have a process, it helps to cover 3 big things: your goals, our process, and the game plan, right? And it says, of course, we can discover anything else that you would like. We just want to give you a good sense of the landscape, how our process fits in, and build it around your goals. The most important part of this email is this: no prep required. I will guide you through it all. When you do this, it completely changes how they feel about everything. And this is sent the morning of the meeting, setting the frame for the meeting overall. So this is idea number 3 on winning before you arrive. Here's idea number 4. This is the lender primer, by the way. I think this is super, super powerful. And so if you are working with a lender, and if the main properties that you sell have a lending component associated with them, I suggest using this. So this is an email from the lender to you, the agent. So the lender is going to write the email that says, hey, Andrew, as promised, I researched our active pre-approved buyers who are immediately qualified to buy in Ritz Cove. We have 37 pre-approved buyers. 21 of them need to buy in the next 100 days, and they're pre-approved for 1.5 to 1.8 million. Please send me the details so that I can get the 37 pre-approved buyers whenever they're ready. Lucy, the lender. Now, Andrew will print this out, and Andrew gets to take this to the appointment, because at some point in the appointment, the seller is going to ask, do you have any buyers? Now, instead of saying, oh yeah, we have 23,000 buyers in our database, Andrew puts this email down and says, hey, I just got this email from our lender partner. Looks like we already have a group of active buyers that we can start marketing to right away. And that gives the clients insane security in this process, right? So last part of this, and we can get to the process. So this is the pre-appointment drop-off. This is my favorite thing that I do overall. I don't do like a pre-listing package or anything. And I do this, and I'll actually frame how I do this for you. So on this pre-appointment drop-off, I put in the tax record or like the public record where essentially a preliminary, not like a sample title report where it shows their ownership and liens or anything on the property. And then I drop this off, but I write this on the envelope, which is, please don't open until our meeting tomorrow. Now, what this does is that it gives you a way to actually open the meeting with tomorrow saying, hey, did you get the appointment, that the envelope that I dropped off? Because now you have something to start the appointment with, as opposed to banging into your agenda. And so, Andrew, those are the 5 things that I like. Is there something that you do before the appointment that you kind of swear by that's really helped you and your team?
Yes. And these are all great ideas and tactics and awesome strategies. But you have to realize when someone's inviting you to their house for this customized marketing proposal, as we like to say it, shout out to my friend Alan Dalton, they already want to hire you. So you have to get this in your head. They wouldn't bring someone to their house unless they wanted to hire you. And you're only going to win through your reputation and preparation. Those were preparation tactics. So when I was explaining this, I took all Sharran stuff, and I've been working on this for 10 years with Sharran. This has went through several iterations. I remember the original Telus one, then there was the Element one. Now it's the real one. And guess what? As the market changed a little bit, this market will never stop changing, not just because of technology, but it's unique because it's cyclical, it's uniquely seasonal, and sometimes we have headwinds, sometimes we have tailwinds. So these things will change. That might work now, 2 years from now, that might not work. But what will always work is how you show up. And my friend Alan, who was the CEO of Realtor.com, he loved all this stuff, and we're role playing. And he says, well, tell me how you prepare outside of the tactical stuff. And I said, well, I definitely prepare quantitatively, where I'm going to know every single thing about this house before I get there. This is easy stuff. People don't do it because they're not prepared, which is, when did they buy it? What did they buy it for? What type of financing do they have? How are they holding title? Is this fee simple? Is it ground rent? Oh, you know the drill. All that stuff, you have that. You also have to prepare qualitatively. So when you're going to this appointment, here's a trick I always use, Sharran. I always say, I am going to love this house, and I'm going to love these people.
So good.
Okay. The reason of course, you're going to love the people, because it's a subliminal form of reciprocity you're creating, because people you like tend to like you. And guess what? The people you don't like, they don't like you either. So you got to frame yourself. Okay. Yeah. And of course, you're going to love the house, because if you sell it, you'll probably get a commensurate fee. And if the house is a piece of shit, Sharran, you're going to love the fact you don't have to live there. You're in a good mood. You're going to love the house. You're going to love the people.
It's so good. Andrew, let's talk about this. By the way, everyone, this is we promised you the tactical stuff up front. We'll get you the slides on that one. But I want, if you want to help your real estate business right now, and you're like, hey, these are just going to be 2 talking heads, you're missing the point. That is the point here. The point is the skill. The point is the verbal engineering. The point is the linguistic dexterity to be able to have the conversation, to frame the ideas, to show proof, and to explain the concept with words, to have the words bring safety to life in this process. So I want you to think about, wait, I like the language pattern that Andrew used there. I see how Sharran did the changing and the framing in this. This is the process. I knew that you'd be high Ds. That's why I want to give you that stuff up front. So we're getting into the, like, how do you approach the appointment perspective? So Andrew, I want to kind of frame this and ask you this question, and maybe we can talk through this. Talk about like you showing up specifically at the door. You're showing up at the door. I know this feels really mundane, but I think that a lot of times we lose that first impression is really important. You show up at the door, you knock, you enter. Like, what happens in those first few minutes?
Yeah. Well, a couple other things to do to prepare. I always like to have, and I learned, again, this from Alan Dalton, who I can't stress enough. Sharran, I'm not sure if you've ever met him, but you guys are so similar as just very cranial, thought-provoking, logical, purely rational executioners. He's like 75 now, but he was big. In the 80s, he was Sirhan. Okay, this guy's listed in Manhattan. He's the man. And he told me you should always have a couple key facts armed with. So if you're going to a house, wherever it is, you should know the population of that town or that subdivision or whatever that unique geography is. So you can have a line like this armed, which is to say, my job is to make sure that the world knows there's 32,652 happy homeowners here in Bel Air, Maryland.
Oh,
doesn't
so
mean
good.
anything, but it just shows how prepared you are. Okay, so that's just another little tactical line. And two is you want to find a distance to a major landmark that's important that you know the public cares about. So you can say something like, hey, Sharran, do you know how close this house is to I-95? And they go, yeah, we're like, dude, it's like 6 minutes away. No, it's 3.2 miles. I measured it last night.
So good.
So these are just little things. You don't have to use them. These are arrows in the quiver, but that's the other preparation piece. But to answer your question, when you get to the house, okay, obviously you got to be in the right state of mind. Okay, you're going in there to win. When you're meeting with the seller, this is the red zone. We don't throw interceptions in the red zone. We do everything we do to get to the red zone, and you need to be a Navy SEAL sniper, no spotter required. You're going in by yourself. You're aiming center mass. You're going to blow a hole through this for their benefit. Okay, right? What's the definition of sales, Sharran? Getting somebody emotionally engaged in a process that's good for them.
Future result that's good for them. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I do. I get to the car. I typically bring in, now I used to have a black book or a whole presentation, and you can get this. And I know all my friends at Real have this. I'm at Berkshire Hathaway. Hey, everyone collaborates at the top. You got to know that. You can have a presentation, but I've done this so long for 10 years. I only bring piece of paper, tax record. I have it and a little notepad so I can take notes. I open the car. You never walk right up to the door. They know you're coming. Hey, honey, he's here. It's a big deal for them. They think they're meeting somebody who's going to close them. We're going to eliminate that real quick. So we're only there to serve. So you get out. I always look out. I don't walk right to the door. You're looking around at the house, always smiling and nodding. I don't care what it looks like. You jot a couple things down. Cool. In case they're watching.
Dude, that's so good. By the way, I hope people recognize that, right? That is so good, right? That is so thoughtful, because you don't do it as a fictional positioning thing. You do it honestly. You stop and you're like, okay, take a deep breath. If I were a first-time buyer and I was getting out of the car, what would be my first impression of this? You just take a look and make the nod. So you look at it truly, honestly, deeply, so that they are looking at you and their golden retriever is looking through the window at you too, right? And that's how this is. So Andrew's making a really thoughtful point where it also allows you to calm your nerves and to become in one with being in service of them for that house. Super good.
Yeah, and go back to see what I find, because I have a bunch of agents on our team. Some people are more comfortable than others meeting with a stranger. Again, it's reputation or preparation. You don't need to do all this stuff if they already know they like you. It's your friend, it's your cousin, it's your past client. You can go in there and do whatever you want, and you'll probably get it. But if you want to take this and always have the frame of mind that says, I'm going to present to this person like my life depends on it, not because you're needy, because you're trying to master your craft, because you want to leave that appointment, debrief with yourself. We'll get to the debrief later. This is fun. This is a game. This is your livelihood. This is what you do. You don't have a salary. This is it. This is showtime. So that's how you walk up to the door. So when you walk up at the door, you knock, whatever, normal. They answer the door. Here's what I like to say right out of the gate. And again, I learned a lot of this from Alan, because I was showing him your stuff. This is years ago. Love it, love it, love it. But he started pinging me. Well, tell me exactly what you do. And I don't know what I do. I just act like a normal human. Wrong. That's not what a Navy SEAL does. We don't take anything. Everything matters, guys.
Yeah.
And if you become comfortable with this, and only if you become comfortable with it, which might not happen today, good. Now you're consciously competent. At least I know what I need to do. Those people are they don't even know they don't know this. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable, you'll never make someone else comfortable.
So good.
Sales 101 is all about bond and rapport, and you've heard of the Moravian rules. 55% of communications, body language, 38% tonality, 7% is the words I use, all that good stuff. Bond and rapport, match and mirror, parrot and paraphrase. That's been going on forever. You should study that. And by the way, you're probably already good at it, or you wouldn't be in the business. You certainly wouldn't be here on this Zoom. So you knock on the door. They answer the door. First line is this. Thank you so much for allowing a little semblance of control. Thank you so much for allowing me to come over today. I'd love for you to show me around the property so we can find any distinct marketing features that we can exploit in the marketplace, or something like that. Because you want the tour. Of course, there's a little small talk. This isn't in a vacuum. Everyone's different. Hey, how you doing? Ha, ha, ha. But when the time is right, say, hey, I'd love a brief tour of the property so we can find out what unique marketing features in this property are going to give us a unique advantage. Something like that. You're priming them to say, well, let me show you around. That's all what we want to do. People say dumb things there.
Yeah. So Andrew, I want to pause you on that one. So super good. By the way, what Andrew is sharing is that you want to model things that feel really good and aligned with your DNA. right? We're not saying this is the only way to do it. We're saying this works for Andrew, and he's intentionally designed this. So there's two ways you can approach the first part of a listing appointment. The first way is you do the tour first. The second way is you don't do the tour first. For example, I prefer not to do the tour first, right? And so neither is good or right. I just prefer not to do the tour first. And I'll tell you why, because I frame control when it comes to that. So it's a very similar thing. Hey, thank you so much for allowing us to kind of visit with you today. Hey, so my question right after that is, hey, where can we sit down and strategize? So that way, I'm not do you want to sit here? Do you want to sit at the living room? I don't do that. I give them the option, right? Because when you tell them where can you sit down and strategize, they will generally take you to the most comfortable part in their house, which is probably the kitchen table, right? And so for me, it is, where can I sit down and strategize? For Andrew, it is, hey, could you kind of walk me through and point out a few of the distinct features that we could highlight in our marketing? What either does is it shows that you're very intentional about the next step and it's not loosey-goosey, right? So I want you guys to choose. What you don't want is, hi, oh, I love your chandelier. I love your chandelier is a really terrible introduction, the first thing that comes out of your mouth when you walk in that door. And that's what people say, because we've been taught by somebody that has never been to an appointment before to say that you have to actually try to get rapport from the pictures or mirror and match and something that's there. You can do that. But if you say, oh, you ski in Aspen, I ski in Aspen too, they know what you're trying to do. Instead, if you can be intentional and guide them, now they know. They're like, wait a minute, Sharran's just going to take over. He's got this process, and they feel a lot more safe in a process that they don't know how to do. So Andrew, what are your comments on that?
I love that. I just wrote that down because I will do that, because everyone's different. Okay. Every person's different. Typically before I go, I've had some type of communication with them. I love those tactics. I'm not even using those tactics, but if I was struggling or I wasn't getting a ton of listings, I'd do whatever it takes. Right. But what make that one step better, Sharran, is you give them the choice. You see, there's 4 C's in this. One is you have to be confident. There's no way around that. So that's an internal thing. Confident, collaborative. Hey, we're in this together. This is a dance. It takes 2. Okay. You have to be consultative, and you have to establish control. Okay. Confident, collaborative, consultative, and control. Collaborative, whoever asks the questions is in control. We all know that. If you want better answers, ask better questions. But there's nothing more confident. There's nothing more collaborative. There's nothing more consultative. And there's nothing more that puts you in control is asking them where they want to start. Because I don't care where we go.
Yeah.
I'm ready for anything. So a good tactic would be, and you can ask them before the appointment. It can be part of the pre-process, but you could also come in and say, hey, I'd love to get a tour of the property. I do that because I think that's what they want to do.
Right.
I want it. And then you're walking around and bond rapport is easy. But you can say, hey, we can take a quick tour so we can figure out what are the distinct marketing features that will give us an advantage, or we can sit down and talk strategy. How do you want to kick it off? That's what I'm going to do now, because
But hold on, you said something amazing, and Robert said something amazing in the chat. I want to highlight 2 things. One, if you've noticed how Andrew gives somebody a choice, there's a couple of different ways to give someone a choice. When you want somebody to do something, by the way, this is not manipulative at all. This is very clear influence to guide them to get what they want. So Andrew's like, hey, would you be open to showing me a couple of distinct features on this home so that I can include it in my marketing? Did you hear so that? When you ask for something and you add a so that shows the rationale behind that. So that's one way. The second way is what Andrew just did, which is what we call a sorting question. A sorting question is, hey, would you rather do this or should we do that instead? Right? And that is a sorting question. Hey, did you see the signs or did you find us online? That's a sorting question, right? So what it does, it just allows them to pick one of the questions, and now they're down the path with you already. The second thing that Robert actually suggested in the chat is, he said, not one time in this entire 18 minutes have you heard Andrew say the words or not one time.
Well, now I'm going to do it. Thanks, Robert. Can't say that. Is that against the rules today?
No, but here's the interesting part. Sometimes, Andrew and I talk about this often, sometimes we will on purpose stutter. I'm curious. I don't stutter. I know exactly what I'm doing, right? But I'm creating safety of the curiosity so that I can welcome them into my world. And the reason this exists this way is that you have such deep language patterns that you have practiced and you're intentional in the delivery of this because everything is framed well. So this is a skill. And the more you work on this, you're in the red zone. You're in the listing appointment. That's why marketing is to get you there, but you got to punch stuff to the red zone. All right. So,
Sharran, not to go off on that tangent, but that is such a powerful strategy and tactic. I call it the start stop. Anytime I get asked a question that I don't want to answer, because sometimes you're not ready to answer it, it's not right, they're putting you on the spot. You start answering it and you stop. You say, "Oh, that's a good question. Well, we were considering a couple of times. There's some precedent there. Just curious. What made you ask that just now?"
So good.
Because it's a little pattern interrupt. Like, what's going on? I'm asking the question back. You put the ball back in their court. And
but this is really good. So just for everybody to learn what Andrew just did, if you take this alone, just this alone, right, you win today. The script books will tell you, hey, when someone puts something in your court that you don't know how to answer, you say something like, "Oh, what made you ask that question?" Now, if you did that, that sounds deeply scripted and aggressive, and it doesn't de-escalate the rapport building in that. What Andrew did was he took the energy of that question. He goes, "Oh yeah, we think a lot about that when we do our market, but I'm curious, what prompted that question?" Because it's a really thoughtful one.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. Now, did you think of that before I came over? Or that just
think about that, right? So when the key part in the language pattern engineering is to take the language patterns that you need to know that need to go in there, but blend that into the conversation. Because what that does, it helps conversion because all conversion happens in conversation. They can never feel like you crushed the objection. If you crushed the objection, you have lost. Like if you see people on stage and saying, "Let me show you how to crush this objection." "Oh, will you reduce your fee?" "No." And then the entire audience claps. You know how dumb that is? Like you can't say things like that. You know how dumb that's ridiculous, right? That's because you completely broke rapport. And what I want you to see what Andrew just did was he took the right language pattern and he blended it back into the language. Super good.
Yeah. The thing to keep in mind is they do want to hire you, but you wouldn't be in their house. So you're there not to mess it up. And your only job is to give them exactly what they want. And don't pretend like you know what they want, because you don't.
Yeah.
So you have to ask really good questions. And what I really want to do, okay, because you like to go right, where can we strategize first? I want the tour. I want to give you a couple tactics on the tour, because eventually, inevitably, you're going to be walking around the house.
Really good. Yeah, really good. Let's talk about that. So whether you do the tour up front or whether you do a tour sometime when the energy drops, and Andrew, we'll go with your flow on this one. I'll tell you quickly how I do it. I don't do the tour up front. I do the strategy up front and I frame the key parts up front, and I'll go to Andrew and I'll talk about the framing. And then when I see the energy drop in the appointment, or when I get to the marketing section, that's when I say, "Hey, could we take a few minutes and maybe walk the home like a potential buyer would? And you can point out the things that you love. And I would love to use that to highlight that as we kind of customize the marketing for this home." Now I use the drop in energy to get the blood moving. Then they're more comfortable with me to give me the tour. Now you can do it either way, but Andrew is going to give you some tips on how to do the tour tactically.
Yeah, literally, there's not a wrong way to do it. Unless you like puke on yourself, or you're not going to answer the questions, get them what they want, and show them a plan that's systemized, duplicatable, repeatable, that works. But whenever they're going on the tour, they're pointing out the things they love about the home. "Hey, we just updated the kitchen. Here's what we did in the backyard. You guys have been on listings before." People love talking about their home. Pro tip, another one from Alan. Sharran, you'll love this one. I'm not sure if I told you this one. Anytime someone brings up something that they truly love about the house, and you know this because you're in your rapport, you're paying attention, you're taking your notes down. Whenever, say it's a husband and wife, a lot of times that's what it is in my world. There's a couple selling their house, and the wife says, I got my dream kitchen in here. We did this in 2018. We got leathered granite. This was this morning. Leathered granite. I have a granite sink in here. We did all soft close, KitchenAid Pro line going on. You never interrupt, ever interrupt. They talk as long as they want. When they're done, you look at them and say, "I have a question. Whose idea was that?"
So good.
To do the kitchen. And then you're having fun now. "Well, it was my idea. He wouldn't let me pay for it for a little bit, but we finally got it done." Whatever spouse says it was their idea, you look at the other one. So say Sally said it was her idea. I go, "Mark, Sally made a great decision there." you affirm the spouse to the other spouse. Now, this is deep psychological stuff.
Yeah.
You know how good that makes Sally feel?
Yeah,
Mark doesn't
totally.
take offense to it. He's loving it.
Yeah.
They love you for this. And it goes the other way too. Whose idea was that? My idea. Okay, boom. Now, did you do that with resale in mind or just to make this home imminently more livable?
By the way, did you hear the sorting question, right? Did you do that with resale in mind, or did you just make this more comfortable for you to live in, or something very close to that, right? So the sorting questions are so powerful, and that's what I want you to see. By the way, we're also seeing a lot of questions around, like, you guys are throwing out objections that you think you're getting, which is totally fine. We'll get to the pricing and the commission objections in just a minute in this process. But what you're missing is the point. I want to give you a quick tip here. I was in an appointment with a FSBO, right, that then signed up with us for 9%. Now, let me explain. This was a FSBO that was FSBO, meaning unwilling to pay listing site commission. This FSBO turned around and was willing to pay us 9%. So the fact that you think that you are going to get a commission handling objection and then use the commission handling objection to then suddenly add value, to then have them choose you, you are gravely mistaken. This is the important part. They choose you now, here, in the first 7 minutes. They choose you not because you are the lowest price. It comes down to the lowest price argument because all 5 people suck. That's why, right? If you are good, it doesn't matter. And you may think that's weird, but I'm trying to tell you. I got a FSBO to pay us 9%. I don't know what to tell you, right? And that's why all of this stuff is important.
You know why they paid you, Sharran? It's because nothing sells like conviction. It doesn't matter. This is like, there's so much psychology in this, but whoever is more certain in any interaction will influence the other person. And sometimes, I know you guys, no one's perfect all the time. You're a little wishy-washy. You're a little not confident. You're really, for whatever reason, maybe it's your first $1 million listing, or it's in an area you're not exuding the confidence. And I don't want this to sound trite or arrogant or anything. I swear to you, I don't get objections. I just don't have to overcome them. Ask Eric. Me and Eric would joke with each other. Of course, he's the comedian, Eric Simon, broke agent. And he's like, you just study objection handling scripts all day. He's making fun of me. I said, honestly, Eric, I don't get them. I don't get them because when you present in such a way that gets them what they want, and it's so tactical and logical, which we're about to get into, that answers those 10 questions, they're in. Yeah. Because they're confident with you. And then we have to have a WIM junction. Then you have to decide what you're going to charge.
Yeah. So Andrew, let's jump to the kind of broader question. So you do the tour, you sit down. Okay. So
right there,
when you sit down,
this is key.
Yeah. What happened? That's how that sit down setup portion works is really kind of crucial. Mm-hmm. How do you like to do kind of the sit down first minute or two of that conversation?
Yes. And this is important stuff. So I did the tour first. It doesn't matter. But one of the reasons I like to do that, you're bonding rapport, you're making them feel good, affirming each other to the spouse, really learning about the house, okay? Because no one knows what the house is worth before you walk through it. So I don't bring comps, different conversation, different webinar. Comps are a joke to me. It works for me. I leave my notepad, or at least the tax record. I leave something where I want to come back to. I want to pick it, but it's limited.
That's so brilliant, by the way.
So I'd like to put, I want to be at the kitchen table where I know I can sit somewhere and I can look at both of them. I don't want to sit somewhere where they can look at each other without me seeing. Okay.
That's so good.
This is a nuance. I want you look for that. I don't want to sit on the couch. Don't make me comfy. Don't bring me water. You want some yogurt? You hungry? I'm here on a mission to make sure you know that I know how to maximize your equity.
So good.
And that's actually what almost every seller wants. They want to maximize their equity. Okay.
Yeah.
So I drop it. Now it's time to come back or wherever we're wrapping up. Hey, let's go back to the kitchen. I left some stuff there. When I get there, I give them another choice. Can only do that if you're confident. It is collaborative. They're picking. I'm in control because I'm asking the questions, and I will consult with them along the way. 4 C's. I say, so folks, I brought some pricing strategies and some marketing strategies. Which one would you like to go over first?
Oh, so good.
Have you ever been in a presentation and they said, can we just get to the price? Well, that'll never happen. Yeah, we can. So I just want to give you what you want.
Yeah.
A lot of this you can get out of the way up front with that beautiful email that you sent. We want goals, plan. I'm going to need, hey, can I get the slides in the chat? Because I'm going to need that one. So I'm going to tweak that. Because you can design this how it's supposed to go. And just, again, it'll never go exactly how you think it's going to go.
Right.
It'll go better. because it's real and it's authentic and it's you and you're comfortable and they're comfortable and we're going to get out of here. So ask them that question. And that, based on that, is how I start. But key for me, Sharran, because you can go through the black book. Like you should say, hey, if you haven't seen the black book, I literally paid $25,000, side note, for the black book. Sharran will tell you the story. I harassed the guy for like a year. He finally gets back to me. He was a busy guy back then. Like he's not busy now. And I paid him 25 grand for that because I knew how important it was. And it does bother me a little bit that people take this for granted.
Yeah.
That was like the Bible to me.
Yeah.
And then I paid him, and then we went over it. This is 2016, 17.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over and over again. Because all I want to do is get to the point where I can draw exactly the timeline.
So Andrew, let's go into that. So before you get to that, a lot of people are different. So Andrew and I want to give you a little bit of different approaches to this. So for you to warm up, people are like, man, I want to tell people about my company, about my team, about my track record and things like that, right? And I think it's a good idea if you just frame it right. And so let me give you the framing around this, because I think this will be helpful. The first thing is they are thinking about what qualifies you to sell my house. And you just have to put that to bed. You can say, hey, I want to, this is what we have done. We've sold 1,000 homes in the last 12 months. We've sold 1,800 homes in the last 18 months, 700 homes of which are been right here. And what we actually currently have, 96 homes coming to market based on exactly this. So we have an insane buyer pool, and we can plug you into our track record of success. I want you to use those words at the end. You frame all the key parts up front, and they need to hear this. We want to plug you into our track record of success. That way, you're not saying anything other than saying, I'm good, I'm great. We want to plug you into our track record of success, because what most agents think is they want to talk about how great they are. Your job here is to have them plug into your systems, your workflow, your track record, your everything. It's like they are plugged into your universe. If they don't like you, they still like everything else that you do, it's still a win. So the key part up front is, you don't have to go 20 minutes into like, we are the number one firm. You just want to have them answer the question. He's competent. He's qualified to sell my house. Blah, blah, blah. I want to plug you into our track record of success. Very key languaging there. Andrew, any comments on that one?
Well, there's so many lines. You said it at the beginning, which is, we can't do this in 90 minutes. Okay,
yeah.
We just can't. Because there's hundreds of little things like that you can do, you can choose to do, you can pull it out of the quiver, shoot it if you feel like you need to. Today, Sharran, no BS, do the listing. I walk out there, they got it. I never get them to sign anything, right? I want them, they're begging for it. They love it. And she goes, I always bring a listing partner with me now, because I don't even feel like doing the paperwork.
Yeah.
I have an assistant. A great transaction coordinator, but I realize I still have to give her all the stuff. I don't even want to do that. Okay. Yeah. So I bring someone with like a scribe. She's awesome. She's a pro. Seller says, hey, Andrew, I just want to make sure you're the guy who's going to sell my house. I love Dibby. She was phenomenal. But are you going to be the agent? Be like, because I know you're going to send me the stuff. We're ready to sign.
Yeah.
Make them. They want it even more. This guy's so not salesy. He won't even let me sign this stuff. And I said, and of course, this is and this is another line from the black book that you pull out randomly.
Yeah.
I said, well, you know what? You're not just hiring me. So we use a systems-based approach. So you're not just hiring me, you're hiring our process and our entire system. But 100%, I'm your guy. I'll handle everything. Thanks so much for asking.
So good.
Pull it out. This stuff, these languages, I want to plug you into our track record of success, which is one of the first things after the contracts and power players. You can say that anytime.
Yeah.
You can say that at the bar. Hey, my sister's thinking about selling her house. Well, I'd love to show her. I'd love to plug her into our track record of success.
It's so good.
You can use these things.
So this brings us to a second. So I want to show you the flow on this, because the key parts in these are the marketing and the pricing. So I want to get to that, right? So part two of this process is, after you've plugged them into the track record of success, I will tell you this: please pay attention. If you're not paying attention, if you fix just this in your appointment, everything will go better. The most difficult part in the appointment is for the agents that don't feel ultra confident around this, is at the end of the appointment, they figure out they have to bring out this contract, and the contract becomes a really heavy thing to bring out. Instead, bring it out up front, right? So generally how I start the appointment is, I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, there are 3 major agreements that actually govern a real estate transaction. Are you familiar with what they are? Not do you know what they are? Are you familiar with what they are? Do you know is a judgment question. Are you familiar is a recognition question. They're not supposed to be familiar. Then they'll say, oh, I kind of know, because that's what the owner will say. You're like, absolutely. Now you have a chance to break down exactly what that means, right? And so let me please explain how I would do it. I would bring a listing agreement, right? I would put the listing agreement on the table. I say, this is called the real estate listing agreement. This is the agreement that between you, the seller of the home, and me, your listing agent. Then what is that? I'm embedding that I work for them, right? Second, this is a buyer representation agreement. This is between the potential buyer of the home and the buyer agent that they're going to work with us in this process. Third, this is called a purchase contract. This is what we're looking for a lot of. This is between the seller and the buyer agreeing upon terms on what they were going to do to buy the house. This is also what we call an offer, because our job is to bring you an offer that you want at a price that you want, at the terms that you want. If you don't do that up front, then everything else that you talk about cannot be in service of those things, right? I would highly recommend you start with bringing the 3 agreements up front. The 3 agreements that govern a real estate transaction. If you do that, things get a lot easier through this entire process. Okay? So, Andrew, comments on that one.
Well, shout out to Vince. He said, I've been doing this since the NAR settlement. Now, this is key. And I do that. I even do it before I get to the appointment. I'll just send them to him. Buyer, seller, builder, investor, doesn't matter. And the one thing you didn't say there, one of your famous lines, which is real estate's about contracts and power players. And there's 3 major agreements that govern every single real estate transaction. I want you to be familiar with them. See, I just tell them, because everyone wants that, especially if you're about to transact real property and this is not what you do every day. They like this, and they like how you say it, and you be serious about this, because this is serious now.
Yeah.
This is about contracts and power players. I don't blink. See, I'm not blinking. I don't blink at this point. I want them to feel intense about it.
Yeah. So good. And I will tell you what happens here. I have one more, Andrew, and then turn over to one more on this one. So these 3 things up front are important. Number 1 is I want to plug you into a track record of success. Number 2, real estate's about contracts and power players. And there are 3 agreements that govern the real estate transaction. And after you do this, they will say something like this, right? But isn't it all about marketing? I will tell you 9 out of 10 times they will say something about marketing the home, positioning the home, all of that. That's when you say this, which is, it's not about marketing. It's about who you're going to market to, right? It's not about marketing. It's who you're going to market to. That's why we call this the buyer universe. Let me break down for you the buyer universe into 4 categories. Let me show you, right? So what you're doing is you're taking the focus away from the 72-point marketing plan and showing them you actually have this buyer universe. Now, I'm going to break down the buyer universe for you. If you can, I do this live in the appointment. As Andrew, can you hold up your notepad just so everyone can see it? That is Andrew's live meeting from his listing appointment right now. What you want is you're really, really focused. Andrew, I think maybe you can talk about this for 1 second before I talk about the buyer universe. Everyone is really focused on making sure that they show up at the appointment to make sure all of your stuff looks really pretty. Stop doing that, right? You want to be in a workshop-y kind of environment with them. Writing, talking, drawing. You want to design and architect it with them. You can come back afterwards and then lay out a much more polished plan and all of that. But you want to workshop the idea with them, because when you do, it's still rough, but it's collaborative. What did Andrew say? The 4 things. The second one was being collaborative, right? So I want to draw this live, and I'll show you how I draw this live. I will tell you this. If you do this in the appointment, 99% of the time, they have already chosen you at this point, right? So please, 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 let me actually show you how to do the buyer universe. The buyer universe looks like this.
Hey, Sharran, before you draw that, tell them what the definition of success of sales really is again. The line from your podcast, because this ties in perfect.
Yeah. Selling is to get a client intellectually committed to a future result that is good for them, and then take them to emotionally commit to take action to get that result. Selling is a process where you get them to intellectually commit to get a future result that is good for them, and then get them to take action to emotionally commit to take the next step.
You guys, right? I just wanted that to come out first, because your job is to get them intellectually engaged. Your job is to get them intellectually engaged on a future result. And this is what we're doing. We're getting them intellectually engaged this whole time in a collaborative, consultative way where we're still in control and we're confident about it.
Yeah.
If you can't get someone intellectually engaged, no one will follow somebody they can't learn anything from. So you're not being pedantic. You're not being Mr. Know-it-all, but they're following you. And when you write it, like he's about to write it, what do they end up looking at, Sharran? Your expertise. And they get to keep that.
So good. No, it's perfect. By the way, if you all think any of this is interesting, take a screenshot, tag us on social. We'd appreciate it. So let me show you this. I draw this live in the appointment. I'm actually going to go full screen on this one, take my face off of it. So I built an animation. So this is how I explain it. I say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, the universe of buyers are split into 4 groups. We have active buyers who are actively looking at a home right now. And we have passive buyers, like my wife, who's always looking but never tells you she's looking. And based on all of these, there are people that we know and there are people that we don't know. Would you agree that this encompasses every single buyer in the marketplace? Right? And they'll say yes. So let me give you the key component on this. Our job is to put at least one thing in each box. And I want to show you how to do this, right? So I'll say, for example, let's talk about the active buyers. Let's talk about the active buyers that we know. Who are the active buyers that you know? Well, the active buyers that you know right now are folks that you have to have active buyer agreements with. Here's the best part. If you have active buyer agreements with somebody and you have 9 of them, bring them and put them on the desk. That shows proof that you have active buyer agreements with them. Otherwise, they don't believe you, right? The second is passive buyers that we know. Who are passive buyers that we know? People are just in our CRM. That makes sense. Now they believe these 23,000 people, they're just passive buyers that you know. The third is passive buyers that you don't know. Who are passive buyers that you don't know? People that are lurking on social media, they're following your posts. They're passive buyers that you can't really contact them. But most importantly, who are active buyers that you don't know? Active buyers that you don't know, or maybe those that come into your open houses. Now, it does not matter what goes in each of these boxes. You want to think about this briefly. But if you put something in all 4 of these boxes, it automatically lets them know that you know how to reach them. And I will tell you, Andrew, I don't know if you know my friend Andrew Undem in Sacramento, California. She does this so beautifully. She actually has, Andrea, thank you for allowing me to share this. This is from her listing presentation. She built this and she does this live. So she goes through and she's like, hey, active buyers that we know, here's who they are. Passive buyers that we know, here's who they are. She actually shows that she has full access to all the buyers in the marketplace. So the client never, ever stops to think that Andrea can't reach those buyers. This is why this is important. Everyone else says, oh yeah, I can find you a buyer. Oh yeah, I can get you 1.5 million, but you're showing proof in an intellectually engaged way. Those 3 things up front, your advantage, contracts and power players, and the buyer universe. If you do those in the first 5-10 minutes, you can say whatever you want after and they will believe you. And that's why this is important.
Well, Sharran, you got like 7 more after that where you can set he's got the most beautiful thing. And it's how I try to train our team on everything now. It's like, this is mine. And I have a whole study guide that goes with it. I did the same thing for the buyer one. How do you show value to a buyer on the buy side? That was a hot topic not too long ago. But here, I'm going to show you how I break it down. Because Sharran, I've taken all your things. I've made it so simple. Because what I found is if my rapport is good, they already know me, they like me, I've got the rapport, they got the trust. I want to bang things out so quickly. So when I sit down and I start drawing my timeline, I felt, because we went over all the questions, in the past, here's all the questions, here's the patterns, here's what most sellers want to know, here's where the people stumble. You have to answer those 10 questions. But I found a way to answer it very quickly. And I don't have to get super granular. I can if they push back about my buyer profile, demographic, targeting strategy before we go on the MLS. Well, if they dive into it, well, look, that was just a process to figure out the whole entire buyer universe, and you draw it by hand. I actually did it. I had already done it on this one down here at the bottom.
So
you
good.
Just pull that out if you need to. When I sit down, I say, look, typically sellers want to understand how to maximize their equity. You have to do that through a strategic process. And plugging into the track record of success, as you can see, we sell 2 homes a day every day. Closed, done.
By the way, that was really good. We sell 2 homes a day every day. Like, think about that, right? That is Andrew inserting proof and then framing that for everything else that he's going to say next, right? He doesn't have to say, we are amazing, we're number 1. No, hey, in the process of how we sell 2 homes a day every day, he just didn't say we sell 2 homes a day. We sell 2 homes a day every day. the rhythmic nature of that language pattern is what makes that language pattern stick. If I said we sell 2 homes a day, it's okay. If I say we sell 2 homes a day every day, that's a language pattern that sticks. So he can build on that language pattern. Small things like this are what actually give you the power in kind of delivering that the next frame, right?
So Sharran, when I sit down, I like to sit down. You give them the choice if you want to. Would you like to discuss some pricing strategies or some marketing strategies? But typically, I do a deep exhale. I go, oh, look, pretty much what every seller really wants to know is what's my home worth? What are you going to do to help me maximize the equity, and what do you charge? So I just want to draw something out for you. I'll answer all the questions.
Yeah.
They just nod. They're nodding. I'm not.
But did you hear what Andrew said? Again, go into this. I just want to be able to draw, like, the 2 words are, let me show you. Show is a really powerful word. I will tell you, if you took this transcript of this and you took Andrew's section, you will hear the word show used so often because he's like, blah, blah, blah. Let me show you. I'm going to show you, showing you this. And he's like, I'm just going to quickly draw this out for you. And then he just goes and he does that. What is he doing? He's showing, right? Show, as opposed to talk, right? Really,
we got to play the game. The game's called show, don't tell.
That's right.
No one cares about you telling them anything. People tell me dumb shit all the time. Show me.
Yeah. Do you want to? This is a really good spot because I want to hit the marketing. I want to do 3 things, Andrew. I want to hit marketing, and I have a small section on proof. So if you hit marketing, I'll do the proof section, and then we can go into pricing.
Perfect. So I'm not as cool as Sharran. I don't know how to plug in my iPad to the Zoom and this and that, but I'm going to break it down and how I write it down. Was Eric popping on to say something? Did he have a comedic effect there or no? All right, we're letting you slide. When you want to draw this, you literally just take a piece of paper, draw a timeline. Okay. You guys remember that from, it's a line segment with a start and an end. Okay. You draw the line. Okay. Sharran you can try to do it. But this is kind of tough. This is just how my brain works. I draw a line because when you start another psychological principle, let me stop. People want to know what's going to happen before it happens. And they are nervous about making a bad decision. Is now the right time to sell? It's a big deal for them. There's probably, Sharran line, critical dependencies on budget for the sale of this home. It's a different thing. But they care how much they're going to get out of this house. So I'm going to say, let me just show you the basic process. This should answer most of your questions. You draw the timeline. First bullet point, I like to call it, we have to optimize the home and arbitrage for value. Which simply means, okay, this is a fancy way of saying, hey, is there anything we need to do to fix up the home before we get it ready? And at that point, that happens during the tour a little bit. Because they'll tell you, hey, we got to put the screens in. We know we got to get the backyard cut. That's why I like to get all this, some basic stuff out first. So the first bullet point is, you call it whatever you want, getting the house ready. And you have to explain there how you can effectively manage the home services ecosystem, okay? Because we have all the contract. We can help you get a house ready. Optimize, arbitrage, a line in there that says, I would never recommend a seller spend $1 unless they're getting 3 back. Ooh, they like that.
Do you say that?
Yes.
Dude, by the way, all of you, please, I know you are on your phone looking at Instagram. Focus back. I would never recommend that a seller spend $1 unless they get at least $3 back. So whether or not anything happens here, what is Andrew doing? He's embedding a power of ROI-based safety. Right? It's insanely powerful. Like he essentially is saying, hey, I'm not going to make you do dumb things just so I can get a commission check. And if he does not explicitly say that, many of you believe that, but if he does not explicitly say that, they think it. So now that he says that quashes that kind of random floating thought overall. So really good, Andrew.
It's good, but you are doing something that I don't like to do, which is I'm kind of answering unasked questions. But I want them to know, that I'm not here. I'm here to put money in your pocket. And that's going to be obvious as we go through this. And that's a great way to start it. Because a lot of times you guys have been there. You say, well, the last agent said we should paint the whole thing, or we got to do this, we got to do that. We say, well, I got to think about that. This is a strategic exercise here. The last thing we're ever going to do is spend $1 unless we're getting 3 back. I wouldn't put you through that hassle.
But just please, just take that line. Be honest about it though. Like all of you should be honest about it. Like I would take that line. But now anytime somebody tells you, hey, so that agent said that and this agent says this, let me give you 2 suggestions around this. If an agent says something and you don't want to insult that agent's intelligence, what you should say is, instead of insulting that agent or putting that agent down, you insult the group. You say, It's actually very common for average agents to make a recommendation about just painting the house or what have you, so that it just looks, so the curb appeal looks good. This is a strategic exercise for us. And what I tell all our homeowners and sellers is that we should not invest $1 unless we're getting 3 back in our process. So let me think about how we should do that.
Yeah,
did you see what I did there, right? You don't have to insult Jimmy, the agent. You just insult the entire group. And then that automatically puts that agent down.
Yeah, because Sharran, they'll put you on the spot. You guys have been in listings. And they say, well, what do you think? We were thinking about doing the kitchen. She wants to do it. I don't. What do you think? And they put you on the spot. That's an uncomfortable place to be, because it's okay not to know the exact right answer when they drop that stuff on you. This happens all the time. This is where you start, stop a little bit. That's really interesting. Well, you know what you could, what is a strategic exercise? You know, I know you guys want to maximize. Well, here's one thing I know we're going to do. We're not going to spend $1 unless we get 3 back, but I'm going to get back to you on that. And you just tie it back in. Because again, it goes back to me. If you're not comfortable, you get crushed right there. So you're wishy-washy, they're wishy-washy. You lost confidence, they lost confidence in you. It happens naturally and automatically. Nothing you can do about it if it happens. And once you're out of rapport, might as well not do any of this. It's not going to work. So anyway,
keep going.
Boom. And the reason I do this on a timeline is I start assigning dates to this, because this is when you really get the juice. But I do the dates after. So I go, boom. Okay, so we're going to figure out anything we need to do to get to the home. We don't need to discuss this right now. I know as we were walking through, there's some ideas there. We're not going to spend $1 unless we get 3 back. But then the next critical date, and really the only thing you guys can control, is what day do you feel like this house can be ready for professional photography, videography? So I want to come back here with my in-house film team and make it feel like Bravo TV just came to Bel Air. Okay. So again, and they'll start talking about dates. Oh gosh, geez, 2 weeks. I said, no, let me just show you. It doesn't matter to me when the dates are. Don't even worry about the dates. I just want you to know this is the process. We'll fill in the dates later. Oh, shoulders down. I don't care. You just do this next year. Okay. So photo, video. And then before I move to the next one, I say the key thing about photo video is this allows us to start our photo marketing strategy. Real quick, how important do you think pictures are on real estate on the internet? That's right. It's collaborative, confident, control. How important do you think that is? Well, we think it's very important. Okay, it's not only important to have great pictures, but what order are we going to put them in? And how are they going to show up on the third-party websites? I'll dive into that later. You move on. They're just, all they're thinking is, this guy's not messing around.
Yeah. Okay,
photo marketing strategy. Then I'm going to have to get some home seller insights from you. I already wrote down a bunch when we were walking through. I know, Sally, your idea, kitchen. Yeah. We're going to have to create a lifestyle story about this so we can tell the compelling narrative. So what most agents do is they take pictures. This is the old, Sharran, this is the textbook, of course, marketing, next level marketing.
Yeah.
I like to say, what we like to do is we like to create a lifestyle story around the property so we can contextualize the value of this property. Because pictures can only tell so much. We want to point out things that if you only looked at the beautiful pictures, you would miss. They don't know you're 3.2 miles from I-95. They don't know you can get to work in 15 minutes by looking at the pictures. So we're going to create that story, and I'm going to need your help with this. Collaborative, confident. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go through that. So I'm not going to beat that to death. But there's a whole bunch more there. Then next date, about 5 days from that day, we're going to start doing our social and digital distribution. Sharran's got a beautiful piece on this. You have to be social, digital, and traditional, right? He's got that whole piece. If you haven't seen that.
But let's use that. Let's talk about that very quickly. So a lot of agents kind of struggle with this. So let me give you some framing around this one. Andrew and I talk about this often, which is Mrs. Client. We actually use an integrated marketing approach overall that ties in traditional, digital, and social, so that we can leave no stone unturned.
Just say that. Okay, I don't even know if you know how to do that. It's good when you actually can deliver on it, but if you say that with confidence, say, because we have systems-based approaches, we like to blend eloquently traditional, digital, and social campaigns together to maximize the potency of our marketing campaigns. So you just play with it, right? It just sounds good. It's fun. Like if you don't think this is fun, just don't be a listing agent, because the rest of it's kind of brutal, right? Because you end up playing the game, sell it before they hate you. But this is the good stuff.
Before they hate you. By the way, here's what I've seen agents kind of strip up on. So this only happens with more really fancy agents who do a lot of video. They'll say things like, well, my video marketing strategy, I will tell you right now, that will bomb in your face. Do not say that, right? Because if they're in their mind, they're thinking, well, the person that is buying my home may not see your video, you've automatically lost. What you want to say is, we use an integrated marketing approach to tie in traditional, digital, and social to leave no stone unturned. But the one thing that I want to really showcase in today's ultra viral phone-based world is how we're going to use video to achieve massive results. Let me show you. Now you can bring your video strategy in, but don't make your video strategy the entire piece. Make it the key piece. Right?
Yeah, and look, you'll know intuitively if they want more on that or they don't want more, because you want to get through this whole thing and start assigning dates and make this program come to life. Because this is what you do. I can make all this happen. You got it. So then I go into the social and digital distribution, which is blending the traditional digital and social in an integrated approach, as Sharran just said. But I say, we like to find out, and this is where you can go into the buyer universe, but I just say, we need to develop a buyer profile targeting strategy. So we want to be able to effectively market this lifestyle story to the public and to the buyer's agents that we know are working with buyers before we go on the market. Key. You really stress before we go on the market. Okay. I don't like to gamble with my client's equity and rack up days on market until I've done my job.
Do you say that?
Oh yeah. I don't gamble. I say it multiple times. Hey, look, I don't gamble with my client's equity. I don't know who else you talk to, but it'll even go further and say, I don't care if this is $1,000 a month rental or $2 million property. I'm here to serve you. And this is just what I know works. And I'm not going to gamble with your equity. That's why we're not going to spend $1 unless we're getting 3 back. I know it'd make my job easier. Yeah. Paint the whole house. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I got you.
I think you just saying that, like, I don't gamble with my client's equity is such a nice way of saying, instead of saying, well, I want to help maximize your equity, you flip it. You say, I don't gamble with our client's equity, shows from a safety perspective, because they're not thinking, is he going to maximize my equity? They're thinking, does he even care about my equity? So that's, you automatically like put a floor on that. So the safety component, that is insane. Great language pattern.
Yeah. And you know, at any point in time, you just stop, you drop your pen and you say, because guys, you know what? I know the only way you're going to say nice things about me on the internet is if I can stuff money in your pockets. And that's actually my job, or else I'd be out of one. So anyway, and you keep going.
By the way, this is the problem, right? Most people think that they're going to go ask for a testimonial after. No, you have to seed it now. Why do we do the contracts and power players up front? Because you have to seed the hard thing first. Why do we seed? Why do people struggle with asking for a price adjustment? Because they get it at whatever price they can, and then they try to negotiate it later, and then they struggle. And instead, if you just set it all up front, it's way easier up front, right? And that's what Andrew is doing. He's framing the potential testimonial later, so that you can be like, hey, remember we talked about how you were going to sing praises on me because I put more money in your pocket? Was I able to do that for us? Yes, awesome. Hey, it would be awesome. Can I send the video crew out? And then we'll get you a great video. And then maybe at the end, we can get a little something nice from you on the internet. Does that work for you? Like, now it changes everything, right?
Look, if you do it right, that you don't even have to ask them again. They want to do it.
Yeah.
They want to do it. They want to find ways to help you. And that's actually the real crux of this business, is if you serve people at a high level, you don't really even have to be good at marketing. You should never stop anything. But if you have 30, 40, 50 walking, talking billboards, like, I don't take leads. I give them to the other people on the team. I just warm. Because, and before we go further, a key thing to remember is this whole process, whether you're talking to a buyer, a seller, another agent, you're in the middle of a deal, realize this is a Broadway play put on by a psychiatrist, and you're the psychiatrist. Okay. And if you can understand that, because you can do whatever you want. It's 100% responsibility, 0% blame. So don't beat yourself up. You own this process. And you're running the show.
Let's finish this one.
Okay, boom. Then I go, okay, so that's the buyer profile target. Next, coming soon. Real quick, you explain, and I know every market's different. These rules are changing every other day, but I start explaining the power of the MLS, how every third-party site's going to be optimized. This is when the sign has to go in, the mail. Boom, next bullet point. Active. This is day 0, okay? During any active product, before we go active, I have to get this filled out. This is called cooperative showing suggestions. I'm not sure if I shared this one with you. So, you know what we found after listing X amount of homes, historical precedent, however you want to say it, is how important do you think it is, Mr. Seller, that a buyer's agent walks the buyer, shows the home properly to an out-of-town buyer? Well, yeah, that'd be important. Well, see, we can't leave that to chance. So what I like to do is provide cooperative showing suggestions. So anytime, once you're active and we're allowing showings, I want to be able to give the buyer's agent there's suggestions, because look, most of the agents won't use it, but the good ones will, and they'll love it. Because we're going to tell them exactly how to show this property, what to point out. And the good ones love it because it's going to help them have credibility when they're showing this home. Most buyer's agents, they're walking through 5 homes. They don't know what they're looking at either. We'll control that for you. We'll talk more about that.
By the way, we can't leave that to chance is a really good one. If you notice anything that, and what Andrew's suggesting and what we talked about, like, hey, leaving no stone unturned. We can't leave anything to chance. I won't gamble with your equity. You know what that is? It is safety mechanisms, right? Hey, it's like, we are trying to make sure we're trying to make sure nothing short circuits in the process. The reason you have these independent contractors running around doing dumb stuff is because the process is naturally short circuited, right? And us saying we're going to protect your equity, we're not going to gamble with your equity, we're going to leave no stone unturned, we're not going to leave it to chance. Really good language patterns that allows them to feel more safe. They only sign with you when they feel safe. Safety is the most important thing. So all of these are going to help them feel more safe. So super good.
It's just logical and rational. And I got to keep harping on it. A lot of this stuff, I straight copied. Well, most of it's Sharran stuff, but I got the other stuff from Alan. He started inserting Alan Dalton. Look that guy up. He's writing a book right now called Agent to AI Agent. He's like Sharran. You see him, you go, it's only happened twice in my life. And I've seen every coach, every speaker, attended every conference. It was Sharran, and I met Sharran first, and then I met Alan at Berkshire Hathaway. Some people just operate on a different frequency, and I want to copy that. So cooperative showing suggestions, home seller insights, those are his ideas. Anyway, because look, it's okay to give credit where credit's due. It works in the living room. You're getting the commission check. Don't be afraid to do that. So you go to active, day 0. Then I do another bullet point, open house, and I riff on that, and I always say, hey, this is optional. Because some people don't like it, some people want it. You don't get caught up in that. Totally optional. I only like to do it once, the first weekend, right after we're active. And then I put another bullet point. Then we're going to go under contract. And then I put 2 more little bullet points. We're just going to have to get through a home inspection and an appraisal, and then there's going to be settlement. Now I'm going through this kind of quickly, but here's the key thing before we wrap up on this piece of it, Sharran. Then I say, and I start picking dates. I guess, again, hypothetically, look, your house is beautiful, honestly. If a photographer was here in 2 hours, we could move some stuff around. You'd be great. I'd say, so hypothetically, what's today? 4:30. Let's say by 5:06, we got photo and video. We can start our distribution campaign by 5:09. We'd be coming soon by 5:15. I like to do coming soon in this market. Say we do that for 6 days. You're active on 5:21. I always call my shot and say, look, this house in this market, and this is where you have to be prepared to say, look, I know the average days on market right now is about 17 with the list to sales price ratio 101. Let's just say, let's give ourselves some time. We'll get it under contract in 21 days. Okay, so that's going to put us at 6:15.
Dude, that's so good. The assumptive confidence on that is insane. Yeah.
We'll be under contract by 6:15, and we'll probably settle typically 30 days, maybe a little more, a little less. But by mid-July, you're out of here. And I put it down. What always happens is they'll tell you exactly when they want to start doing all this stuff. Well, we really don't want to be out till August. Oh,
and then you said adjust the dates around that. Yeah.
No, yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Again, I don't care if you do this in 2 years. But I'm just saying this is the process. Then, and this is what works for me, the beautiful transition is, and I say, you know what? Here's what's really important. I say, you see all this stuff, and I circle all this stuff before we go active. This is called marketing like the year we live in.
It's good.
Most agents don't start marketing until they're active. They rely on the MLS solely to do that. And this, again, don't gamble with my equity. You can use any number of lines here. You say what you really need is 3 skills. You need someone who actually knows how to market like the year we live in. You need a skilled marketer. That's everything we do before active. From active to contract, you have to have someone who knows how to negotiate. And then I say, don't need to go too much into it, but I run the negotiation classes for Berkshire Hathaway. So then I move on to the next. Then from contract to settlement, that home inspection, appraisal, there's loan commitments, there's a lot going on. You definitely need to be administratively gifted, but you need to be a problem solver. So when problems go up, you know what I hate? When people create a problem and they try to make it my problem. I'm not going to do that to you. Problems will come up. I'll solve.
So good. Hey, so we've got a few minutes. I got 2 things we want to hit, Andrew. What I want to hit is a lot of people I'm going to do a quick poll for everybody, right? Cindy, the thing that Andrew talked about was you want to market like it's today, right? What was the phrase, Andrew?
You have to market like the year we live in, and you're
market like the year we live in.
Older agents might not love that, but
what is Andrew doing? He's attacking the model of the world. He's not attacking a person. You want to attack a model of the world, or you want to attack a group, right? attacking is really good. Enemies win you battles. There is no us without them. Think about that for a second. So you can't say you want me unless you show that somebody else sucks. It's very important, right? Marketing like the world we live in. That's good. So two quick components. A lot of us, I want to do a quick poll. We got just about 10 minutes left. A quick poll. How many of you feel like you do a lot, but you tell the client, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of that. Just give me a me in the chat if you feel like you do a lot, but you tell the client that you will just take care of all of it. Now, that is your number one downfall, because they don't think that you do a lot. And then you get mad that you sold the house in one day and they feel like you didn't do anything because you told them that you would take care of everything. And they thought that you just hit enter on the MLS and everything got done. So what I want to show you is this idea that I talk about often called showcase the complexity, but deliver the simplicity. You have to showcase how complex this process is, but making it simple for them. I want to show you a really powerful thing that that my friend Stacey Corrigan did. And let me show you this. This will blow your mind. So Andrew, this is a Stacey Corrigan, amazing agent, Rhode Island. She did this. It's a chart. She says, hey, this is our entire workflow. Now, you don't need to worry about any of this. You know what she says? This is our entire workflow, but only that is what you do. What does this show? From the contrast, it shows that Stacey does all the complex stuff, but you only have to do the simple stuff, which is really important. The additional thing is what Andrew talked about. You just don't want to say we do things like, oh, we do, we do mega open houses. They don't know what that means. You want to give words and meanings to everything. So, I talk about this idea of, hey, we have the 412 open house formula. Well, what does that mean? This is what we do 4 days prior. This is what we do on the day of. This is what we do 2 days after. Now, it's not fancy. You can call it the silverback open house formula. You can call it whatever. But you giving it a name allows them to know that there's a complex process associated with this, right? It's super important. So I want to give you one more thing. So a lot of people will talk about this, which is, like let's say there's a QR code on a for sale sign. So this is my friend David Matthews in Denver. And David says, you don't just put a QR code on a sign. There's something very specific that happens. So when someone scans a QR code, it automatically goes to our website. They get added to our CRM and they get retargeted. And an AI bot picks it up and a live agent picks it up at the same time. Now it shows the value of the QR code. And it's not just you have a QR code on a website, right? Small things like that are extremely important. And that's why this is really, really important. So I don't know if that was helpful at all, but like if you are doing something that feels complex, make sure they understand that, you actually showcase the complexity, but kind of deliver the simplicity overall.
Well, Sharran, I want you to handle pricing because I kind of do it your way and I only have a couple of minutes left, but to put a bow on this timeline, so you draw this stuff out. Like, those mind maps, every single one of these bullet points, every single one.
Sorry, that was me.
It's all good. Every single one of these things, you can go so much deeper. And in Sharran's exact framework, you can pull one of them out. Open house, you have the 412 formula. In traditional, digital, and social. Every step, you can go deeper. But I'm just trying to, because I took this very seriously, Sharran. When you said your job is to showcase complexity, but deliver simplicity, what I'm saying is simple. I can make it complex. If you really want to understand it, I'm game. If you want to test me that you don't think I understand it, I'll go real deep on any one of these things. I can talk about open houses for an hour about how the intricacies of how that works. But real quick, then they do the timeline. You write in those real dates. Then from here on that page, that's when I go into my fee. Because right before I said, look, people want to know, what do you do to get it sold? What are you going to charge? And I always leave out the pricing unless I cover it first. And I say, so boom, and I'll start going over my fee. And that's a whole different concept. We wouldn't do it justice to dive into the complexity of how to get your fee in this world, in this rush moment. I know people, if they're smart, they'd want to hear another event with you, Sharran, with any number of guests. But that's how I do it right then and there.
Yeah.
And then I pick a price, a random price, say, pricing the property is a strategic exercise. And I want Sharran to cover this because I copy it verbatim. But I pick a hypothetical number that's within 100 grand. I said, but hypothetically, if it was 800K, I times it by my fee minus the prop transfer record. I give them a net sheet by hand right there. And I said, so look, if you sold it for this, you probably walk away with that. And then I start talking about the pricing.
So good.
Once you cover your fee though, you move right on. You don't need to make this whole big event. Here's what we do. Here's what I charge. And in this world, it's like, look, we're just going to tell the buyer's agents to include their fee in their offer. We don't have to do that. I charge X, blah, blah, blah. Here's what you're going to net. And let's talk about the value of this house. But Sharran, well, you should hit pricing before we go, because this is key.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time. So here's what I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking about the key components of pricing. And so let me explain how I kind of think about this, right? So first, you have to think about what is the biggest issue. The biggest issue is they don't know how to do it. That is the biggest issue, right? So to them, please understand this. In general, when someone thinks of a price, in general, they think they absorb the identity of the price to themselves. So please, 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 right? You got to disassociate list price from final sales price, because we want to tell them that pricing, and the way you do that is by saying this: pricing is about positioning, and the list price is just an invitation. Now, they won't understand what that means. So for example, I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, pricing is actually just about positioning, and the list price is just an invitation. What I mean is, let's say we listed the home at $34 million. It may not invite a lot of people to come to our open house. Would you agree? But at the same time, if we listed the home for $1, then we're going to get this flurry of activity and a lot of riffraff. So our job is to find the right positioning and match it with the invitation, because pricing is about positioning. The list price is just an invitation. So my job here is to disassociate sales price and list price. I don't want them to absorb the list price as their personal identity, because when they do, then you can never adjust the pricing at any point in time in the process, and they'll take that as the final sales price. If you say $885,000, they expect that to be the final sales price, regardless of what negotiation you do. And so our job is to disassociate sales price and list price, and we have to learn how to do this. Is this process? Everyone needs to learn this. I'm going to go through it very quickly. Please grab your phones, whatever you need to do to record this. We have to at least be able to explain the 3 pricing strategies. You may have different ways of explaining this, but you have to be able to explain 3 pricing strategies, and I'm going to go through it with you. Mr. and Mrs. Klein, there are 3 pricing strategies that we generally employ in a market like this. The first one is what we call, and I use my hands like this. The first one is what we call aspirational pricing. We generally do that when we list a little bit above the market, and the reason we use that is when a home is unique or it has some celebrity factor. In our case, it doesn't really matter. I just take it off the table. The second is what we call perceived market value pricing, not fair market value, because fair market value happens in the moment that a property is actually sold, after which there's new data that comes to market which changes fair market value. So perceived market value is what a buyer may run the numbers to see what the market value is, and we would list the home right at market value, kind of generating a fair perspective on offers. And the third strategy is to list a little bit below market as an invitation price, and we call that event-based pricing. And the job of event-based pricing is to create an auction-like environment to generate more offers, because as I told you, it is our job to get you an offer that you want, at a price that you want, at the terms that you want. Given that aspirational pricing doesn't actually make sense, and we're between perceived market value and event-based pricing, do you feel, do you feel drawn to one or the other right now? Or would you like my recommendation? And you know what they'll say? We just want your recommendation. Never do they ever say, because what they'll say is, we just want your recommendation because we want to maximize equity. And then you turn around and say, yeah, I don't gamble with my client's equity. Boom, done.
Sean,
right?
One thing I always do on that too is I always like to say, there's 4 P's of marketing: product, price, promotion, and place. You don't have to say that, but everyone who knows marketing, if you've been to business school, there's 4 P's of marketing, Harvard Business School. It's the product, the price, the promotion, and place. You say, look, price is part of marketing. Marketing's not part of the price. And then you go into the invitation. Every single time I've been on a listing appointment since 2017, I've used that. Sharran's been saying this for a long time. If you're not hearing if you are hearing this for the first time, shame on you. That's on you.
So I wanted to do 2 things. Thank you for being on with us. I have one more slide at the end, but Andrew, I really want to thank our partner BAM for putting this together for us, because it was Eric and Byron's idea to bring this to everybody. And we wanted to create an environment where 2 completely different brokers, and I have insane respect for Andrew in this process. So by the way, if you are not part of BAMX, you are crazy. It is the most valuable membership that you can have, which is less than a cup of coffee a week. So Haley, is there a code, something special for BAMX that we can drop in for our folks? So if you're curious about BAMX, I would highly recommend this, because I promised our friends that we would make sure that everyone knew about this. Thank you to BAM for putting this together. I have one more slide for you, and maybe you can drop a link in the chat as well. If you're not part of BAMX, you're crazy. It is Andrew's in that. He's literally giving away all the systems inside of BAMX, which is insane. If you liked what you saw today, like, can you imagine more of Andrew Undem to you in your brain, in your life, where you get to create insane profits overall?
Hey, Sharran, before we change this slide, I have to say something. BAMX is $90 a month. I just uploaded my entire listing process, which is comparable to Sharran's, but it's my own. I'm going to keep adding to it. If you're in real estate and you're not spending the $97 a month, every week they tell you what's going on in the market. Pretty much every, there's a new course on how, and they don't let dummies in there presenting either. I'm in there every day trying to learn how to make my stuff better. So everyone on my team's required to have BAMX, because then I know they're in the game. Oh, you don't think it's important? Here, do you want? How about this for a sorting question, Sharran? When someone doesn't want to buy BAMX, I say, is it because you don't care about getting better, or you just don't think it's important?
It's crazy.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So
this is great. Hey, let's put the link in the chat one more time. And can you give me back to main screen here, Haley? I have one slide for you, and I want to bring this all together. First, I want to thank Andrew. I have seen hundreds, if not more, of people present, and the people that I've seen, I'm going to call out names here, which I probably should not, but I will tell you the 3 people that I have seen deliver their listing presentation significantly better than me, and I've studied this process. There are 3 people: Linda Granger Group in Tahoe, Andrew Dwayne in Sacramento, California, and Andrew Undem. I have seen others, but all 3 of them have made this a part of their ethos and their DNA and their craft. And you should follow all of them. And I'm just so grateful for my my time and friendship with Andrew for making this such a joyful thing to do. He and I could go on this all day. So, Andrew, I want to share one thing, which is this. And people meet your energy before they meet you. People meet your energy before they meet you. So for Haley, let's put me big screen just for this one version, just because I want to see everybody. I want everybody to see a full screen on this one. People meet your energy before they meet you. And I want to play this video for you. I probably play this video often. I play this video for myself maybe 3 to 5 times a week. And I really want to play this video for you because I think that it makes me really believe that people meet your energy before they meet you. So let me play this for you.
Staring at the blank page before you, open up the dirty window, let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find, reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it, release your inhibitions, feel the rain.
Hey guys, I'm so grateful for you, so grateful for Andrew Undem. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being with us. Andrew and I will stick around for another minute if you want to drop something in the chat, but we're so grateful for you. Thank you for being with us. And Andrew, man, I love you so much. Thank you for doing this.
With this, Sharran, it's like I'm a fan. Okay, I'm a fan. This is for me. If I was like a high school basketball player, LeBron just agreed to do or Jordan just agreed to do a webinar with you. So this is, I'm so grateful, and I can't wait to see what you do next. But one thing I know for sure is we're going to be like this. Okay, and that's what you need to be with your clients too. It's you and your clients versus the world. Find people to model, duplicate, and ask for help. And that's why, look, you guys got to follow me on Instagram, because Eric Simon and the Broke Agent team said they'd blow up my Instagram if I give them all my stuff, essentially for free, in my opinion, on BAMX. So,
hey, if you have not taken a picture yet, do it right now. And so that please tag Andrew and me on the picture. We'd love to repost you. That way you'll show up in our feeds, and we appreciate that very much. I hope this was helpful to you. Clearly, 90 minutes is not enough, but Eric, Jill, Haley, Byron, BAM team, thank you for having us. And go follow Andrew Undem. Learn what he's talking about. Big